Does your vehicle not stop as quickly as it used to? Does the brake pedal feel spongy or suddenly get hard when braking? Do you hear a squealing or grinding noise when driving or while braking? These are signs that your brakes may need replacing. In this video, we'll discuss the basic steps to removing and replacing brake shoes. Since we'll be working under the car, it's important to observe basic safety precautions. Wear a dust mask and eye protection to protect yourself from brake dust. Do not use compressed air to clean brake parts. Always use a spray brake cleaner to keep brake dust from becoming airborne. Park the vehicle on a flat, dry surface and make sure the parking brake is not engaged. If the brake shoes being replaced are on the rear of the vehicle, engaging the parking brake will lock the brake shoes into the brake drum and prevent the drum from being removed. Chock the wheels and place automatic transmissions in park and manual transmissions in neutral. Before beginning, gather all the tools and supplies that are needed so that they'll be within reach when you do the job. When jacking the vehicle, ensure the jack is rated for the weight of the vehicle being lifted and use factory lift points which can be found in your owner's manual. Once the vehicle is lifted, support the vehicle on jack stands and not the jack. First, pop the hood and inspect the brake fluid. Brake fluid should be clear with no residue coating inside the master cylinder reservoir, and if it's cloudy or dark, it's recommended that it be replaced. While the vehicle is still on the ground, loosen the lug nuts just a little on the wheel that you'll be working on. Once each lug nut has been loosened, lift the vehicle with a proper jack and support it on jack stands. Once you have the vehicle on jack stands, remove the lug nuts and wheel. A drum brake system includes various clips, springs, levers, and other parts that can be difficult to reassemble if you don't have a reference to how it's all supposed to go together. To make the job easier, use one wheel as a reference when reassembling the other. Snap a photo of the full brake assembly before you disassemble, or better yet, have the vehicle repair manual handy. Since procedures vary from one vehicle to the other, it's best to refer to the repair manual for your specific vehicle. Start by checking to see if the drum can just be pulled off by hand. If the drum doesn't come off, there may be extra steps that need to be taken to remove it. In some cases, all that's needed is to loosen the drum by tapping it with a rubber mallet. Some brake drums use retaining screws or bolts to hold the drum in place. Removing these will allow the drum to be removed. Others have threaded holes in them that allow threaded bolts to be installed that back the drum off using a wrench or ratchet to tighten the bolts a few turns at a time. When this method is used, alternate tightening between the bolts so that the drum is pulled off without warping. This is a brake drum off of a vehicle to make it easier for you to see. The brake adjusting lever may need to be backed off so that the brake shoes will retract, allowing the brake drum to be removed. Check to see if there is an access port on the back side of the backing plate. In some cases, the access hole may be covered by a metal plate over the hole that will need to be removed. Insert a brake adjusting tool through the access hole and turn the brake adjusting wheel counterclockwise to pull in the brake shoes. This will release the tension and allow clearance to easily remove the brake drum. Occasionally, a jaw puller needs to be used. Once the brake drum has been removed from the vehicle, take a moment to inspect the brake assembly. Inspect the wheel cylinder and axle seals for leaks that can cause damage to your new brake shoes. Also, check the various springs, clips, and pins for excessive wear or breakage. Remove the various springs, clips, and pins so that the brake shoes can be removed from the assembly. Once again, this process will vary from vehicle to vehicle, so it's best to use a repair guide to take you through the steps. Generally, the adjusting screw has to be loosened first to release the majority of tension that pushes the brake shoes into the brake drum. After the adjusting screw has been loosened, the various springs can be removed, starting with the adjusting lever spring, then the retracting spring. After these springs have been pulled off, the assembly that holds the brake shoes to the backing plate can be removed. To do this, reach behind the brake backing plate and put pressure on the mounting pin. Using a pair of pliers, grasp the washer-tight retainer on top of the hold-down spring that corresponds to the pin you're holding. Push down and turn 90 degrees to align the slot in the washer with the head on the spring mounting pin. Remove the spring and washer retainer and repeat this operation on the hold-down spring on the other shoe. To make this process simpler, go to your local AutoZone store and pick up a brake spring washer tool. At this point, the parking brake should be able to be disconnected and the shoes can be removed. Once you have the shoes removed, take a moment to clean the backing plate and apply a light coating of silicone lubricant to the contact pads. Now we'll install the new brake shoes. Before installing, lubricate the adjuster assembly. Reverse the process followed during the shoe removal. Install or connect the following: the parking brake actuator lever, the assembly that holds the shoe to the backing plate, the adjusting lever, and the various pins, springs, retainers, and clips that were removed. Once all of these have been installed, put on the new brake drum and temporarily install the wheel. While spinning the wheel, turn the brake adjusting star wheel slowly and stop when you hear the brake shoes barely come into contact with the drum. Then, remove the wheel so that bleeding is simpler. If any hydraulic lines were opened during the brake job, bleeding will need to be done before reinstalling the wheel. Manufacturers vary on timing recommendations for flushing brake fluids, but it's considered best practice to flush a brake system completely every 2 years. Be sure to use new, clean fluid when doing so, and for more information on how to bleed the brake system, see our video, How to Bleed the Master Cylinder and Brake System. Once the brake system has been bled, reinstall the wheel. Tighten the wheel nuts by hand until they are as tight as possible, and then snug them down with a ratchet and socket with the wheel still off the ground. Complete this process one nut at a time, going in a star pattern around the tire, one nut across from the other. Jack the vehicle off the jack stand and remove it from under the vehicle. With the jack stand removed, slowly lower the vehicle to the ground without applying the full weight of the vehicle on the tire. Using a torque wrench, tighten the wheel nuts to the required torque specification, once again repeating the star pattern tightening procedure, and when all nuts have been completely tightened, lower the vehicle all the way to the floor. Remove the jack and repeat the process for the rest of the brake system that you're performing the brake job on. Finally, some vehicles with a self-adjusting mechanism may require you to sharply apply your brakes while moving forward and backward several times to set the proper tension on the parking brake mechanism. Other vehicles need to have the emergency brake applied several times until tension is felt in the brake handle or pedal. Check your vehicle repair manual for specific procedures that need to be followed. Stop by AutoZone for everything you need to do the job right, including expert advice. Parts are just part of what we do. Get in the zone, and thanks for watching.